Or good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Biblical Fitness. Hope everyone's had a great day, made some tremendous gains. I'm recording this on a New Year's Day, so happy New Year's. May Lady Fortune smile upon you on this arbitrary 365 days that make up this new year. But aside from that, I did start off the year right, and that's by first of all getting a haircut. Second of all, by going and I just left the gym today. I left doing my lower A session, which went wonderfully well. You know, it feels, like what a better way to start a new year, right, than making gains. So that's exactly what I did. It opened at 8 in the morning. There was a few people, but I really wasn't impeded in any way, which is great. For a couple times there, I was like, I might have to switch exercises, but everything worked out perfectly. Now, that unnecessary tangent aside, I wanted to continue with a book that just gets more wonderfully complicated, more profound. And his original basis of the whole, the progress of man in the very beginning of, as a child, you care more about the thing itself. You're trying to get curious, you're trying to get behind it, trying to figure out what it is. But once you get to the adolescent stage or the young man, you become obsessed with the idea of things. The world is no longer enough for you, or you want to run away from the world, or whatever the case may be. But the world is not good enough. The world is in error, so you want to bring it into the ideal, and we get stuck on thinking about the ideal, and he just continuously puts it that we've remained there. And I've gotten to the point where he starts talking about the Protestant Reformation, and he makes the very compelling case and kind of a reminder as well that he's like, dude, it's called a Reformation. People make it seem like with Protestantism, God was extinguished, or the hierarchy of God was extinguished, or the hierarchy of spirituality. But in fact, it was enhanced, it was refurbished, it was it was rejuvenated within the language and inclinations of the people of those times. At the end of the day, no ideal is going to make headway without if it doesn't cover the particular personal interest of the people that they're trying to grab. It has to make sense for the people to go along with it. At the end of the day, it's all self-interest. There is no altruism, I guess you could say. But it's really wonderful how he comes in and he talks about Martin Luther and Descartes, and how with Protestantism, the hierarchy of the institution may have been extinguished, but he continuously harkens to the fact that it just crammed us with even more spirits, because there was no longer this access, or this what is it, the barrier of entry in regards to accessing the divine. You had to go through the Pope. You had to go through your local bishop or priest or whatever the hell it was, and so the spirit, or the idea of God itself, the idea of love, the idea of justice itself, was personified in this deity that was outside of you. A critical component of what Stirner considers to be sacred, or what we, or in his definition, what we humans consider to be sacred, is something that is alien, something that is above us, something that is separate from us. And we feel like it is overpowering us, like it's above, and it's above what our senses can detect and comprehend. And with the revolution of Protestantism, it was like internalizing all those things. A lot of it had to do with the corruption of the Catholic Church, which was blatantly obvious during those times. But getting rid of the institutions just caused more spirituality. He makes fun of Feuerbach or some shit. Now Feuerbach tries to make the case that with the upheaval of with Protestantism, the Reformation of Protestantism, that religion was taken away from art and science and state, and but Steiner, Max Stirner. Well, I don't know why I'm keep saying Steiner. I'm so Jesus. I'm clearly booted. It's Stirner, not Steiner. What the fuck is a Steiner? Oh my God. But Stirner, goes ahead and talks about how, especially in this humanism wave, he's like, dude, we extinguished one spirit and threw on 7 more on top. We got rid of the evil one, but evil remained. The ideas remained and became more refined and became more personal because they are all found within us, right? The whole point of being a Protestant is no longer needing this access to the priest, not needing the priest to interpret the Bible for you, to listen to what they have to say and act upon it. You are your own priest. You're your own clergyman. He makes the analogy of a police state. You're like the secret police on yourself. You're constantly looking and criticizing and monitoring every single impulse, every single idea, every single inclination that comes about in your mind. This overemphasis on the mind brought about by Martin Luther. He says, like, to believe is to be God. He who believes is God. You have to be this thing. You have to, let it possess you fully and completely in order for you to get any sort of, in order for you to be able to get close to that thing, to that idea. This continual separation from the body, this dualism that continues to arise, right? Like, we're always cutting ourselves into these two different people, the human, sensuous individual, the unimportant one. It's the idea and the eternal that remains, and that's the most important. Our body may perish, our body may go through torture, pain, and exile, or whatever the case, starvation. But it's our moral essence that matters most. And what is moral essence? Is self-humiliation, as you said before. Mm-hmm. And with Descartes, I forgot how to say it in Latin. I was gonna try to be fancy bourgeois with it, but it's ergo sum, something like that. But I think, therefore I am. I'm not alive unless I think. That nothing is validated, nothing is real without the mind saying it's real. The fact that, yes, the mind became even more prevalent and more important, all these are just natural progressions, he says, of Christianity, this continuous revulsion and try to extirpate as much of the world and the sense as you can from you. But he was even saying that Martin Luther, realized that chastity, for example, didn't do you anything, because the only person that was suffering was your sensuous person, but that part of you had nothing to do with the divine, so it wasn't really working. You had to continuously monitor yourself, right? The spirit of justice had to be in you, the spirit of morality, the spirit of God and love, and all these things had to be within you, and you had to be continuously personifying and trying to become these ideas at all times. And one could say that now you look at it, this is what happens, the fact that we were given the responsibility to understand that, what we believe to be true is true. What our conception of God is, it's who we are, everything became centered to us. The hierarchy was removed, nothing, it was no longer centralized. And this is, like, I guess in modern times, is a natural evolution of even that idea, right? Like that emphasis of justice, but it's imposed on us, for the sake of morality, for the sake of humanity. Look at what we have to be: a good person. We have to follow all these morals and these laws, and we have more ghost in our fucking head because we have to be these things at all times, to be justful, the spirit of justice, that justice is non-biased, and always justice always prevails. There's these prevailing ideas within those words that overcome our overcome any sort of rationality. You know, these are ideals that we chase and these ideals that we uphold. We don't actually look at it on the surface. We just, you know, either the conception is what matters, you know, at the end of the day. You know, with law and fidelity and family, for say, you know, we've sacrificed ourselves for family and things like that. And, you know, to always tell the truth, even if it comes at the cost of reputation or whatnot. You know, these ideals more and more have become internalized into us. And he always, you know, talks about how it's crammed us, really. We've brought heaven onto earth and called it man or men. I mean, yes, man is what's important, not men as such. Men must be sacrificed for the idea of men. But this book is absolutely ridiculously well well put together. You know what I'm saying? Like you know, his, and it's just how he is able to kind of like make this I mean, he uses dualism as well, really, but you know, it's just like how it continuously progresses, and because more spiritual as time progresses, you know, and we become weaker because of it. um you know, we continuously try to separate ourselves from the truth more and more and more, or whatever, you know, what is truth really, but separate from the sensual world, the world of the senses, the world that we see and that we hear and that we feel when we touch and whatever. I don't even know why I said all that, but you know, trying to overcome it and come up with these truths whose untruths we're slowly but surely getting behind. It just continuously happens. It's just a natural progression of things, you know. Um, the fact that we're getting rid of the man, so as such, the fact that we're getting rid of our instincts, you know, what it is to be human, I guess, is becoming refurbished and revamped in another way once more. All these ideas are within us to the point where one could say that now we are ultimately responsible for what these ideas are. You know what I'm saying? Like, not even following these ideas that we're all getting behind, but at some point you're gonna have to come up with your own. You know, considering the options that are being placed forward by mainstream or by the imbeciles out here. So, you know, more and more responsibility in terms of these ideas, but you know, as soon as they become no concern to you, or trying to uphold something that is beyond you, and actually just being content with who you are, you know. And I feel like this really does remind me of a section, I forgot which book from Nietzsche it was, but you know, this continual upholding of these grand ideas is always a major reason why we always feel utterly disappointed, because we know we're never gonna get there. You know, these are ideas that provide us with some sort of trajectory, but they're not meant to come to completion. It's an individual that is impossible to attain, but it's, you know, like I said, it's a way to circumvent or to navigate through this world and whatnot. But by upholding that sort of thing, that idea, allowing that idea to possess you, you're always disappointed. You're always making this distinction of the man you could become and the man you are. And the man you are is always going to be looked at in a negative contrast. You're not going to look at yourself positively. You're always going to be looking up. You're always going to be looking at the spirit, at the thing in itself, the spook, as Stirner says. So it makes perfect sense how Protestantism really made it internalized and brought about this new continual progression and made it even more human, you know, and how the alignment comes about from that, right? How that is probably that, and I mean, that's a natural progression within itself, you know. In this new scientific era, God was not a good word to use anymore. We didn't want to seem ignorant, so we went for reason, we went for science. That there has to be reason behind everything, if not, it's not true, right? Which harkens back to the whole Descartes thing. You know, I think, therefore I am. If my thought, if I don't think it's true, then it's not. You know, but you know, well, yeah, just like that. That's how we all are now, right? Like, we don't want to say that we believe in a God, but we believe in reason, rationality, utterly. If it doesn't make sense, we don't believe it. You know, we never question our own beliefs itself. You know, which is a trap that we all get in. And that's, we may have left God, but these ideas remain and actually became even more powerful and more personal, as I've said before. Um, which is, I mean, it's all ringing sense to me. This is obviously an oversimplification of history, but I mean, I call me biased, but it rationally to me it makes sense considering the way that we are now. Like this all continuously makes more and more sense. And we're tacking on more and more virtues on us to be more virtuous, and even the virtues themselves are continuously changing. But we are so dumb that we never want to realize that. We're so desperately wanting to cling on to these beliefs because they own us. We never want to acknowledge the blatant hypocrisy and the blatant corruption that is involved to be moral, to do all these things. You have to slander, you have to commit immoral things, and that's why we just follow and we don't actually implement, because only evil people can implement. So, in a bit, I'm going to go ahead and read this as a wonderful, wonderful read. So, Happy New Year's, guys. I hope you all have a great day. Make some beautiful games if you haven't already, or if you can't, then go ahead and tomorrow. So, love you all, and until next time. Peace.